Hi, welcome to Racehouse with me, Joe Lee.
And me, Darren Reeves.
It is the Brazilian Grand Prix, but it's not the Brazilian Grand Prix anymore. It's the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Why is this, Joe?
2023.
Why is this?
Well, look, the thing is, it's in Sao Paulo, as we know, you know, because I know you've been there.
Yep.
We'll talk more about that. But it's because Sao Paulo put so much energy and money into creating this race. They got a bit miffed off that it's the Brazilian Grand Prix because Rio de Janeiro have also been whispering about doing their Grand Prix.
Yes, they have. And I've been to the site where they talk about doing it as well. So, yeah. Yeah.
So Sao Paulo were like, okay, we'll call it the Sao Paulo Grand Prix because maybe there'll be a Rio one. We'll see. But the same has also happened with Mexico. So it wasn't the Mexico Grand Prix or the Mexican Grand Prix. It was the Mexico City Grand Prix. So more and more, these countries are saying, well, actually, no, it's this city. It's not, Cancun Grand Prix. It's not the whole of Mexico. It's us, Mexico City. So I'm looking forward to going to Britain next year to the Toaster Grand Prix.
We should do a pop-up.
Should be fun.
Pop-up podcast.
Or in Abu Dhabi, the Yas Island Grand Prix, as it will now be called. It's a bit silly, but I understand why they're doing that. But look, hopefully we can have the sunshine. This is a really, really beautiful circuit over at Interlagos circuit. Darren, you've been there to the track.
Joe, I have. So I did 6 weeks in Brazil in 2019, and the tour ended in Sao Paulo in May 2019, the first leg of the tour. And we literally were in and then off to the airport and gone. And I was like, I can't believe it. I've gone to the home of Senna as a Formula One fan and not seen anything. So we had the second leg of the tour, which went back in September 2019, and Sao Paulo was our first destination.
What was the tour?
So it was Queen Extravaganza. So
Cool.
we did two, because one of our singers is actually from Sao Paulo. And
he's an amazing Freddie. I've heard him. Yeah,
he's an amazing rock singer. I would say. I wouldn't even say he's Freddie because we don't dress up or anything. It's
true.
Roger and Brian have picked him to sing their songs.
He smashes the songs. True,
he does. Yeah. You're right. So anyway, so when we arrived in Sao Paulo, I said to him, because he was my tour guide as well. Right, I have to go to Interlagos. I have to go and see the track. I'm here. It could be my one opportunity. So we got a cab at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we went from the hotel, probably about a 45-minute drive out to the circuit, which is still part of the middle of the city. It's one of the biggest cities ever in the world. To fly in through the skyscrapers, man, it's an experience because you just see skyscrapers for the distance. It's outrageous. And so anyway, we arrived there at sort of 9 in the morning, let's say, and there were big security guards on the gates, and they said, is there any chance we can come in and have a look? And the guy didn't speak English, so my guy translated. And he said, oh, man, Formula One have taken over the circuit. The circuit is closed to the public. You can't get in. And this is like 7 weeks before the race. And I'm like, I'm gutted. So I was a little bit cheeky. I didn't lie, but I said to him, listen, we're here touring for Queen, and we're looking to put on a big festival in 2-3 years' time, and thought about doing it in the middle of the circuit. Is there anyone we can talk to about it here in the offices? Anyway, translated it. 10 minutes later, he calls us over and says, go through there, go down there, go under that tunnel, go up there, turn right, and there's somebody waiting for you. Well, I went down under this tunnel, which is the road, and came out right in the middle of the circuit, and that tunnel was under the start-finish straight. And I'm just like, I can't believe I've blagged my way in here. So anyway, we went to the offices. We were invited in. We had a coffee. There are pictures up all over the walls, which one day my room will have as well. And of Senna and Barrichello and Massa and all this. When Massa won the 2008 championship, controversially for 1 minute or 3 or 4 corners or whatever it was till Hamilton won it. Talk about that another time.
I love the Ferrari reaction, by the way, in the garage. And then the mechanic comes over and goes, no. And then he smashes the glass in the wall or something. It was crazy. Yeah,
I just remember Massa's dad just celebrating that all his dreams have come true. And the up and down emotion, man. Honestly, I don't know how you recover from that again. But anyway,
That's
so we're
to be continued.
correct.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. We see what the courts say. So we're having this coffee. I'm looking around, just thinking, oh my god. And they said, look, would you like to see where we suggest you put this concert on? And it was the car park right by turns 2 and 3, where it flooded one year, and everybody went off on this river that ran through the track, and I'm just looking at this, just absolutely going, oh my word! I've just spent. This is my favourite track in the world. Some of those turns 1, 2, 3, and some of my favourite corners, and just stuff that's happened, and they're talking about concerts, and my brain is just completely in Formula One dreamland. So this went on for about half an hour, and then the woman said to us, "Is there anything you'd like to do while you're here?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to get a photo of the start-finish straight." Yeah, I'm thinking from the grandstand, so we'll just walk up there. Okay, just wait here. 5 minutes later, she comes back with a car and says, "Here you go, off you go, drive the circuit." And I'm just
No.
like, honestly, I'm just like, what? So there was 3 of us, and we had a driver with us, and we just got in the car and off we went onto the circuit. We got on right by where Hamilton crashed into the wall a few years ago, did a few S's, went round the corner that he passed Timo Glock to win that 2008 first championship. We then get onto that final corner and that massive sweeping straight where Alonso had the horrific spinning crash years ago, and you see this water tower just outside the circuit. Just all these little landmarks that I just remember from my childhood, from watching Senna and Prost and Mansell and Piquet all through that time. And I'm there living it and just can't believe it. And then we stopped on the start-finish straight, got some photos on the finish line, and I actually sat in pole position on the grid as if I was in a car, and just taking it all in. Went down to turn 1, turn 2, 3. We drove the whole circuit, Joe. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, which was completely blagged, I have to say, and but never been there for a race weekend, and never say never with anything, whether as a fan or working or whatever. We'll see what happens, but one of the most amazing experiences of my life in 2019. Sadly, we hit the pandemic and there was no race 2020, but then 2021 and 2022, Joe, have been unbelievable races. So
Unbelievable races, and
yeah.
Mercedes have really dominated the past couple of years.
They have.
I mean, George Russell won it last year. That was his first win, I think. Was it
first and only win? Yes.
Is that his first GP win? Like his first Formula One win?
Well, I think
no.
I'd have to.
Spa, wasn't it?
No. So he finished
that was
second.
His first podium.
Yeah, so he finished second in Spa for Williams because he qualified second, and then the race was called off behind the safety car after.
And you were there for that one.
And I was there witnessing it, and I got some lovely photos of George just sat on the pit wall. So I was there for that, and he also, when he replaced Hamilton, when Hamilton had COVID, he replaced him in Bahrain 2021 and was leading the race, and then pit stop strategy, puncture, meant he didn't win, and he should have won that race. He was winning it at a canter. So George had been really close, but no, his only win was Sao Paulo 2022. But and it was a sprint weekend, I believe, and he won the sprint as well, as was 2021, where Lewis won the sprint. No, he didn't. He started at the back.
No.
He started at the back, didn't he?
Climbed a lot of places.
Got up to 10th, and then he went from 10th to win the race.
It was unbelievable. He started at the back, didn't he? Because was it penalty or he changed?
Yeah, it was 10 place penalties for something. Yeah,
and that was one of the most unbelievable races ever by I think any driver. For him to come from the back, basically, yes, the sprint was going like half the race, so he managed to be halfway up for the next one. But I tell you what, that race in Brazil was unbelievable. I remember watching that, and because I was in Abu Dhabi at the time watching it, and then it was coming to Abu Dhabi, and we know what happened in Abu Dhabi 2021.
You were there, Joe.
But I was there for that, and had my Mercedes top on for that one, and had to quickly take it off. But yeah, that was an incredible moment. But Yes, Brazil. That was one of the best races, and we had Expo over here in Dubai, Expo 2020, which was in 2021 because of the pandemic.
Yep.
And Lewis actually came over and did a big kind of Q&A and said hello to everyone over at the Expo City, and everyone was like, oh, what was your favorite race? Because Brazil was pretty good. What do you think about Brazil? And he was absolutely buzzing. He was smiling. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, feeling so good, ready to go into that Abu Dhabi race. But we'll talk about Abu Dhabi another time. Well, look, Sao Paulo looks amazing. They're one of the few cities in the world that have no outdoor advertising, which
Hmm.
is incredible because they passed a law. They were sick of it. There are billboards everywhere, and they're like, do you know what? We're just going to ban them all. And they did, and now it looks a lot better, apparently. But one big thing about Sao Paulo, which also with Mexico people have talked about, is crime.
Yeah.
And it seems that every year there's at least one Formula One team, certainly plenty of fans who are really targeted
Yeah.
by pickpockets, thieves, muggers. I mean, is this true? Is this too far fetched, or is this the reality
No,
over there?
no, this is the reality. There's a real gulf of wealth and poverty over there. I stayed in the main central hub of the city where the main shopping street is and restaurants and so on. And you can see it. It's not like walking around the streets of London or a European city. There's a lot of people there, and there's a lot of poverty. So you just have to be sensible. I walked around by myself and with colleagues and so on, and got cabs, and it's just a bit different. But you just have to be sensible. Don't fear everybody. You mustn't do that at all. But just be sensible. Keep everything tucked away. Don't look at people in the eye. Just be sensible. Really, is what it's
Mm.
about. I enjoyed my time there. I did again when we got the cab over to the track on the day. You could just see everything. You're driving through some of the suburbs as opposed to the main city centre of all the shops. But I also the next day got a cab to Ayrton Senna's grave as well, which is a little bit further out of town, still in the middle of the city, but just and again. You just see so much poverty in the favelas on the hillsides that are literally slums,
Mm.
and it's you just think in the 21st century, how is this wealth not spread more
I know.
evenly through the world? And we talk about it now, and we have to talk about it because generations to come, it's a slow burner that's going to, hopefully in 100 years, 200 years time, will be much, much better than it is now. We won't get to see it. But when you see those favelas, and I also remember driving from the airport, and there was this massive prison, all right, and there were just these really sad looking, well, criminals, but really like miserable, with their feet hanging out the edge of the bars over the balconies and stuff like this, and it just looked terrible. It just,
Mm.
they were there to die almost. It's an experience, is what I would say, is Sao Paulo. And Illyrio, who lives there, in fact, from there, sorry, he's actually living in Madrid now. I was with him a couple of weeks ago for work, and he's actually said, "Look, we're actually going to stay in Europe because we just feel so much safer." So there's a native Sao
Mm.
Paulian, whatever we call them, himself saying, "We're not going to go back," and they've just had a little baby girl, and they want to bring her up in Europe, so whether in
Yeah.
Madrid or London or wherever. That tells you firsthand what it's like there. But
Well, so
it
yeah.
it is the home of Ayrton Senna, and it will always be that. And I'm surprised they've not called it the Senna Grand Prix rather than the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
That's true. Yeah, they could call it
Mm,
the Sao Paulo Senna Grand Prix or something.
mm,
I think that's just a moment to talk to people, who are out there watching this. If you're going to the race, just be sensible, be
yeah,
vigilant. Don't be too flashy. You're going to be wearing your team tops probably, so you are going to stand out a mile. But just be careful, with your phone and everything. What about at night? Can you walk around at night? Would you advise?
I got cabs at night. We went to some restaurants, beautiful restaurant with a massive tree in it. I can't remember the name of it, but if
Hmm.
somebody's listening that knows the restaurant, let us know. Send a
Yeah.
comment in. Um, but no, I did cabs just to be sensible again, really. So I can remember Lewis was going from the track to his hotel a few years ago with a few of the Mercedes team, and they got attacked basically and held at gunpoint, and and robbed of whatever they had, whether it's probably Tag Heuer watches or something, I don't know. But so it does happen. You know, they might have been targeted because it was a Mercedes truck. So just be careful if you are wearing your tops. Yeah, sensible, but don't fear everything, I would say.
No, don't fear everything. And if you're a Mercedes fan, maybe wear a Williams top or a Haas top. Maybe that's a good strategy.
Williams,
That's
mate,
what I'd do.
up and down. They've not. Williams have not scored points for the last 3 races, and Alex is driving the socks off that car this season. You know,
He's doing really well.
Yeah, but I think I think the problem is, if Daniel is going to start driving that Alpha Tauri like he drove at Mexico, the two of them. I think it's a great little battle going on for the lower end points.
Amazing you mentioned Daniel because now the rumor mill is it said, well, he's going to be replacing Perez. He's been back for 1 race. I mean, or 2 races. He did pretty well at Mexico. Great result for AlphaTauri. But apparently he's going to have Perez's seat. Certainly after that shocker Perez did at his home Grand Prix. I mean, can you just imagine that? But
I think that's going to take a while for him to recover from that because that was a massive all or nothing. Got to go for it. So it could.
He's not going to be in the right mind for this.
No. I don't think he's been in the right mind, mate, for maybe 4 or 5 months now. Going right back to Austria and Silverstone and so on. Daniel is back in that car, and he's shown that car has got some speed. Now, we don't know if it's track specific or what we've talked about the air, the thinness of the air at those altitudes. But, I just think it makes it another exciting weekend to go, what's going to happen? We want to watch Daniel. Perez has he's got to recover. I know Jolyon Palmer has said this week that he's got to have 3 clean races to keep that seat now. The eyes are on him, and he knows it, and he's not dealt with pressure very well this season, from Max, the pressure from Max, and the comments that have been made, and the fact that Daniel and Liam Lawson have got into that Alpha Tauri to replace Nick de Vries and shown what it can do now, both of them. We know Red Bull can pull that trigger at any time.
Yeah.
We've seen it. So I like Perez. I rooted for him this weekend to do well at his home Grand Prix, but the guy has got to believe, and I don't think that belief is there right now.
No, it's not, and it's ebbing away. And as we know with F1, there's always someone there ready to take your place. It's all changed very quickly. We saw this even at Mercedes with the team. Mike Elliott has actually left Mercedes.
Yeah.
He was the chief technical officer. And he's been there for donkeys, about 10, 11 years.
10, 11 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because he's kind of switched roles with James Allison. And he was the technical director. So it was kind of like, well, he's better at that and he's better at that, so we're going to swap. And now 6 months later, he's gone. I don't know what that is about. I mean,
I think we're going to hear a lot more about James Allison again now, because for me, James Allison in that multi-championship winning Mercedes, for me, is up there with Adrian Newey in the multi-winning Red Bull. In that world of design and running the team. So it'll be interesting to see if suddenly James Allison is talked about a lot more again.
It's a strange time to make these changes. You got what, 2, 3 races left?
There's never a good time, and the only time is now. You mustn't leave these decisions. If once something is obvious, Formula One moves so fast, faster than any other sport or business I've ever known or been involved in. Yeah, you've just got to go with your instinctive reactions every time, because every day is a wasted day in the development of Formula One.
It is, and it is that cutthroat. I remember going into the paddock and expecting to see certain people who are part of the main team who run, things over there, and I heard, "Oh no, they've gone," and you're like, I'm being very diplomatic by not saying where they were, but they're like, yeah, they said, "Oh no, they've gone." I'm like, what do you mean they've gone? It's like halfway through the season. Yeah. Oh no, they've gone. Okay, what about that? Oh no, they've gone too. Oh, and that one? Oh no, they've gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa. hold on a minute,
Yeah,
what's happened here?
it is difficult to build relationships within the Formula One paddock world, isn't it? You know, because you just
It is
don't know
brutal.
who's going to be. Yeah, you don't know.
Also, it's a tough pressure environment. You know, we've done it for many years, and you know, I heard, well, I know someone who went there, had great dreams of being there. I think they did 2 races, and they couldn't hack it, and then that was
Right.
it. They were out, and they quit because it's a completely different mindset. You've really got to hit the ground running, but nothing prepares you for it either. So it's a very tricky. Once you've done it a few times, the formula is pretty much the same for the race weekend. It builds up and builds up, and then you can release after the race has ended.
Yeah.
Certainly, we did when we were supplying entertainment to the Paddock Club. So it's having to adjust very quickly. And you and I are both comedians; we can change very quickly, very flexible. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
A good point. I think you have to be very flexible because you have to be able to encounter problems, quickly disseminate them, and go, okay, what's the solution? That solution, act on it. And that I think that comes back from the teams because they have to do that as well. There's a problem with the car, right? What's the problem? This. Okay, do we have the solution? Oh, we can do this. What if we do that? Might be great. Do it. And that's how it's that fast. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be good for him to see out 3 races. I mean, what difference is going to happen in 3 races? But Mercedes are coming back. And I really see this. I see the improvement. Hamilton's on podiums. You know, they are coming back. If they can keep this going and they can make an amazing car next year, it could be Mercedes' year.
Yeah. I think
I
we're
really
seeing.
think.
Yeah, I do as well. I think we're seeing a lot of teams closing the gap. You know, with this development race, they're all developing for next year because the regulations are very, very similar for next year. So everything they're bringing to the track now is all about next year. So, you know, we're the only teams we're not really seeing that development for right now, I would say, are Aston Martin. They're saying they're bringing development, but they're definitely not, you know, getting faster. You know, and Haas have bought some developments, but it's not showing at the moment on track at all. But with Williams, constant improvement. You know, what we've seen at McLaren is just stunning. One of the best recoveries of a season I think we've ever witnessed. In opposite effect with Aston Martin going the other way, really, over the season. But this AlphaTauri that Daniel Ricciardo has got into, I think, has got something about it. And with the upgrades they've bought, and of course it's all to do with Red Bull and Red Bull development, I think that it's not just Daniel. I think the car is. So I'm really interested to see if Yuki Tsunoda can have a good weekend with it as well this weekend, because I think it's got the raw speed. You know, the speed traps, he was right up there.
Predictions for the podium?
So my predictions this weekend. Well, I think obviously it's very difficult to look past Verstappen, but we've had a Mercedes stronghold these last 2 years at this track, and with their upgrades and their knowledge of this circuit, I think we're going to see 2 Mercedes on the podium, but I don't know what order. Okay,
I agree.
That's my prediction.
I agree. I think Lewis could win. I think George could do second, and I think Lando or Max for third.
Well,
That's
Lando,
my prediction.
had he not had had a Q1 disaster last week, that drive, which I think was one of the best drives through the field we've witnessed all season, and definitely the best drive from Lando. You know, he's had a lot of podiums now this second half of the season, 5 or 6 podiums, and he would definitely have been on that podium for sure. Probably finished second again, I would have thought, had he got into Q3. So Lando is a good bet for every podium right now, I think, through to the end of the season. But you can't fit 4 people on a podium, can you? So if I was going to knock one person off that podium,
Andretti.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it would be George Russell to come fourth. There we go. So that's my prediction for the top 4, in fact.
So not very controversial. We basically picked the same people, but that's okay.
Well,
We're going to have fun with it. So, but
No,
Max will probably win. Checo's revenge.
Yeah.
You can put Danny up there.
Well. Come on. What would the odds be?
That's what you were about to say. That's what you were about to say.
Well, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it, to see Daniel have a, to qualify fourth ahead of Perez last weekend. Nobody expected that at all, and we want to see him do well again, but we also don't want to see Perez just fall out of Formula
No,
One, and
no, we
he
don't.
needs, we need to see that car do well. So so no, I'm going to put Norris on the podium. No, I'm not. I'm going to put Russell on the podium just to be different to you. Norris fourth this weekend.
Brilliant. Okay, there
There
we
we
go.
are.
Well, it's all about
Yeah.
the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend. It's a sprint race as well, Darren's favorite weekend. So you get to watch all the sprint action and the race action as well. Practice and qualifying Friday. Shout out. I think we should do a shout out to your Brazilian Queen
Yes.
friend. What's his name?
Yeah, so it's Illyrio Neto, and from Sao Paulo, and currently living in Madrid. And we just went to watch Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid a month ago together whilst I was working there. So, Illyrio, if you're listening, buddy, thank you for getting us into Interlagos back in the day. I'll never forget it.
And Illyria, I nearly met you in February because I was there in Madrid, and unfortunately your show got postponed, so I missed the show. So I would have met you in February. So I'm sure we'll meet at some point. And if you're out this way in the Gulf, then we'll meet up as well. But no, Brazilian Grand Prix. Looking forward to it. And keep your comments in, like and subscribe to everywhere. Remember, we're on the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, all the jazz. So you can follow us there as well. We will be doing our Brazilian reaction after the race, and that should be fun. And we may even have a special guest. We'll see. If you're lucky, then maybe we will. But for now, it's goodbye from me, Jolie.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care. We did that.
I did it for
you. Maybe that's what we need to do.
Yes. And when there's a delay, that's not easy.
That's not easy. Okay. Bye.